Hi, my name is Lewis, and in today's video we're going to talk about how to set up a CAD background with the information that we need in order to perform a HVAC load calculation. And the load calculations will be done using a program called Trace Load 700 from Train. And there's other available softwares out there that can also perform HVAC load calculations, but the one that we will be using will be the Train version called Trace Load 700. And now to begin, we're going to look at a CAD background. Okay, so here's a typical architectural floor plan, and usually when the architects give the floor plans, it's going to have different colors and different blocks for various things, such as the bathroom fixtures can be one block. As you can see, it's being highlighted, different colors. And for the preparation of doing the HVAC load calcs, we want to create the backgrounds to be just a single color that's not very prominent. So the company standard we use is the color 9, which is just a gray color. So to change everything, what we do is we just select the whole thing, and we go to the drop down, and where it says select color, we'll just type in 9, and that color is gray. Okay. And some of the lines did not change to gray, and the reason for that is they are actually blocks, and blocks can't be changed unless it is exploded. And the command we're going to use for that is not explode, but the command burst, B-U-R-S-T. So we just select the whole thing and type in the command burst. And we're going to just select the whole thing again and change it to color 9 once more. And you'll see that some more items change to color 9, and still some are not changed. So there are different levels to the blocks, and sometimes you have to burst it multiple times to get everything bursted. So we're going to do that whole process again. We're going to select everything, burst, and then we will select the whole thing and change it to color 9 again. And it looks like everything is pretty much changed to the color 9. Okay. Alright. For the text, I'm just going to change that to green just to let it stand out a little more. Alright. Okay, so in AutoCAD there's various different types of shortcut commands, and the default is CO for the command copy. And since copy is a very commonly used shortcut, I'm going to simplify that and make that shortcut to be just C, enter, rather than CO, enter. To change any type of shortcut commands, the way to do that is by following these steps right here. Okay, it's Tools, Customize, Edit Program Parameters. So we're going to go back to AutoCAD now. Okay, so to make the changes to the shortcut commands, we go to Tools, Customize, Edit Program Parameters. Okay, in here you'll see the list of all the shortcuts, and the one that we are going to change in this case will be the command C, which is defaulted to be circle, and we're going to change that to copy. Also, we need to find what the current copy shortcut command is, which is CO, and we need to replace that with circle. So we're just interchanging the two commands. And if you want to make any other changes to the shortcuts, you can do that in this notepad here. Okay, then all we need to do is just close this out and save it. So after we edit the program parameters and we have made these changes, right? We changed the shortcut keys and we exited out and we saved it. Then what we need to do is make those changes take effect. And to do that, we have to go into this, type this command, re-init, and then follow these instructions. Press the PGP button and click OK. So we'll type in re-init, click PGP file, hit OK. And now, if we type in C, enter, you'll see that the shortcut command for C is now copy, and CO is circle. So you see how it took into effect now. Okay, so the next thing we need to do now is to add dimensions to get the length of windows and walls, which we will later need to input into the HVAC load calc. So to add dimensions, we go to this drop down here, dimensions, and we click on linear. This square that you see forming at that corner is called the snap. To turn it on and off, you hit F3. So I just hit F3 and we don't see the snap anymore. We want the snap on, so you hit F3 and you get the snap. So you click on one side of the window to the other side and you get this dimension. The company standard for the dimensions is for the text to be color green. So to change that, the way you do it is we go into this right here and we're gonna create our own dimension, okay? And you can just create new and set a name, but I've already created the dimension here. So I'm gonna just go into hit modify so we can go into it. So if it's not there, you would have to create a new one, and you can name it whatever you want. But in this case, it's already created, so we're gonna hit modify to get into the properties of that dimension. And I'm just gonna go through how the dimension style is set up based on the company standards that we're used to. And these standards, they don't apply to all cases, but for our company, this is a standard that we use to have some consistency across different jobs. So here, what we do is we create for the lines, for all the lines to be green. So we have to change this to green. And you could leave these all just the way it is, by layer, by block. And the extension lines. Extension lines are actually these lines here, where it extends from what you're trying to measure to the dimension line here. So these are the extension lines. We want to make that green. And this field here where it says extend beyond dimension line means that this line will extend further out the higher you go, as you can tell. You don't have to make it extend too long, so you could just make it something small, such as 1 1/4. Offset means the offset from this distance here. So where you click the two ends, the dimension line will be further and further away from that point as we increase this. So you want to create it to have some sort of offset, but not too much. So 1 inch should be fine. You could even make it 2 inches. But just as long as it has some separation, that's fine. Now we go into the symbols and arrows. Make sure the arrow size is 4. That's just another standard. And all of these, you could just leave it the way it is. I'm not particularly sure what these actually do, but leaving it the way it is looks to be fine. Now we go into text. The text color, we should make that green. Okay. And everything else can be left at 4. Text height as 4 is fine. And all these other items here could be left the way it is. The primary units, we want to make it architectural, and we want to keep it in feet and inches, and the precision we need is just up to the inches. We don't need to have it more precise, such as putting it to half of an inch or a quarter of an inch. Precision should be set at this number here, just in whole numbers, feet and inches. And all this could be left the way it is. And this, I usually don't change anything in, as well as this tab as well. So we can hit OK, close. And to set that as the current dimension, we go to this drop down and we pick the dimension style that we just created. And for this case, it's the dimension called dimension. So if we go into dimension here, we hit linear, and we take the measurement of the window, you'll see how everything is according to the parameters that we set. Okay, now that we got everything set up in terms of the shortcuts, the dimension, properties, we're going to need to now go through the CAD plans and put in all the information we need to later on input into the HVAC load calc software. So the first thing we need to do is change the background color to 9, which we already did. Now we need to add all the dimensions to the building envelope wall length. The envelope basically means the wall that is separating the interior of the building to the exterior. So that excludes all interior walls, not exposed to the outdoors. Now we have a wall height that we need to dimension, as well as the plenum height. I'll explain what those are later. We also need to get all the window heights and length for all the exterior windows, and we need to add square footage to each room, as well as adding a north arrow to the plans. Okay, so we did the first one right here, change color of background to 9. So we're gonna now add dimensions to the building envelope wall. Okay. Building envelope is, again, the wall that separates the interior to the exterior of the space, and this is where all the heat load occurs. Heat load doesn't necessarily occur across interior walls because the interior is maintained at the same temperature. So this room, for example, would be at 72, and the bathroom would also be around 72. So if there is no temperature gradient or difference, you're not going to have any heat transfer moving across that wall. So the load calc only occurs at the building envelope, where there is a temperature gradient between the interior and the exterior of the building. So this is the one we want to focus on, the building envelope wall. So we're going to hit dimension. So we're going to get the dimension from here to here. Okay. And to repeat that, you can hit space to repeat the previous command to make it quicker, and just do that again. We also need the dimensions of windows as well as doors, so I'm going to just hit space again to repeat the previous command, get the door length, as well as the window lengths here. in this example, the building is actually attached to a adjacent property on this side, on the right side as well as the left. But we're also going to consider that an exterior wall because the code in New York City is sometimes, they require a space between adjacent buildings just in case of an earthquake or some type of movement in the building. So even though there is a building adjacent to the building, it's also possible there is some sort of air gap between it. So even though it is an adjacent building, we're going to assume that that wall is going to be an exterior wall because of that potential airspace that will be built between two adjacent buildings. And you see how here I simplified it by just extending it all the way down to this point, although there is a shaft here. Okay, some sort of opening here where it could be pipes, ductwork that are boxed out and enclosed. Just to simplify, we are going to provide a length, and usually if you want to simplify, you want to add more than less into the load calc. So we're gonna include the shaft into the length, and then we're just gonna go down the whole thing. Okay, so continuing on, I did it for all the other exterior walls, as you can see here. And now we need to add the square footage of the rooms. So to begin with this one, we're going to do a polyline and just go around the whole room. And it doesn't have to be precisely exact because if it is slightly off, it's not going to make such a big difference. And the polylines that we create, make that color green so we can actually see it. And we're going to hit this, right click, go to properties, or hit S. And here you're going to see square footage. It's 120 square feet. So we're going to put M text in there. I use the command M text and put in 120 square feet. And I'm going to make that pretty large. Let's make it an 8-inch text and make that color green. And if you are looking at the properties and it's not in square feet, the way to change that, it might be in decimal form. So you go to Format and you go to Units and you change it here. So let's say, for example, it was set on decimal. And then you click this, you'll see that the elevation, the area is not in square feet anymore. So if you want to change that, you just go into that format and units, and you could just make sure that it's in architectural type and the precision is in this format here. It doesn't have to be so precise. So we just put it under this precision here. Okay, and you hit it OK. Now you'll see that everything is in square feet. So I went through all the zones and I added the square footage as well as the outline for the different zones. So I went through this master bedroom and create a polyline. Some of the rooms that have a square shape, it might be easier, rather than putting a polyline, to just do a rectangle. Which is just the REC, enter, and you can just click one corner and go to the next corner like so. And again, it doesn't have to be precisely exact, but it just has to be close enough. And doing that, will be quicker than creating a polyline around the shape of the room. And as you can see here, the way I split it up is this was one zone here. Since there's a door right there, I created a zone there, and I created a zone for the staircase as well as this staircase here will be another zone. Okay, I created a zone for this laundry room. This is a washer and dryer. I created a zone for this corridor here, okay, as well as this bedroom, 008. So this is how everything is set up for each floor. Now we just do that, and we do it across every single floor here. And I'm not going to go through that since it's the concepts are all explained for this floor. It's just doing the same exact thing for all the other floors. So the next thing we need to do is get the building height. Okay, the next thing we need to do is get the wall height and plenum height, as well as the window height and length, right? We already have the window length, so we need to get the window height. To do that, we ask the architect to provide us with an elevation or just the information on those dimensions. If they give us an elevation that is to scale, we could just go into the window and just take a dimension off of it. Okay, here they actually listed it as 60 inches, but just to confirm, we just go to the dimensions and we get the length on it. So this one is 34, so that's correct. And get the window height, and that's about 61. We could just round it off to 60 inches just to make it simple. Now for the elevation, the height is 7'8". Let's just confirm. Yep, that's correct. Okay, and it looks like the plenum they provided was so that we could fit an AC unit in that space. Okay, in this floor we have a plenum, and a plenum is basically just the space above a drop ceiling and the floor above. Okay, or the slab above. In this case, this is a wood joist. Okay, so we're going to take it to the floor above. And that's approximately, I would say, like right here. And let's say right here. So the plenum space, I would take it at about 18 inches. And the height would be from this point to this point here. And that's 8'2", so this is correct. So the distance here is a little bit more because it looks like the architect took it to the top of the floor above and to the bottom of the ceiling here. But the plenum is just a free space above the ceiling and the floor above. So that's why we have it as a little bit less. Now let's say this was a concrete slab. The plenum then would be to the underside of the slab and the top of this ceiling, which would be right there. So now we have the height of the plenum, the room ceiling height on the different floors. For the example that we're using, it's the basement floor, so we have to get the height of the basement, which is here, and it's shown as 7'6". And the plenum, let's just take this number, although it might be a little bit smaller. We'll just take it at 12 inches for the load calcs. And we're just going to use the 12 inches for the plenum height, although it's going to be a little bit less just because, you know, making it just a little bit more to round it off and to simplify the calculations is fine. It's better to use a higher number than rounding it lower, so that we can get a higher load calc and arrive at a more conservative load calculation. Okay, now that we got all the window heights and the plenum height, we need to get the north arrow on the plans. Okay, to get the north arrow of the building location, we go into Google Maps and we are gonna randomly choose an address, 6 Madison Street in Brooklyn. Okay, and the building we'll assume is this one here. The north arrow is always straight up. It's away. Alright, this is a street, so this is the entry door. And if the entry door is here and the north is straight up, it's actually a little bit offset, right? So if you take a perpendicular line from this line straight up, the north arrow is going to be rotated clockwise, let's say about 10 degrees or so. And that's just an approximation. So if we go back to here, so if this is the perpendicular distance from this front wall, and the north arrow is rotated clockwise about 10 degrees from that, I would say it's somewhere around there. Okay, and this is the entry. And this is where the street is. This is the rear yard of the building. So this is the north arrow, okay, for this basement. So now we have the information we need to input into the load calc software to do the load calcs.